Hello, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. We have today with Leila. She just came to us from New Zealand, online, of course. Hello, Leila.
Hi,
Hi.
Kasia.
Hi, how are you today?
Oh, going well. Just woke up. It's about 5 a.m. In New Zealand, and I think it's 5 p.m. in UK. Yeah, am I right?
It's 4 p.m., yes,
Oh,
but
4
it's
p.m.
evening, yes. Yes, so
Nice.
thank you that coming that every morning for us and doing a session about Azure ML.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you.
So before we will start talking to you and your session, should we just introduce AI 42 first?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So welcome today on the session for with Leila at Tate. So we started AI 42 with motivation or to comes with to recognition that it's not good starting materials for AI. So AI 42 is a strong team consisting of three Microsoft AI MVPs that strive to provide with a valuable series of lectures that will help jump start your career in data science and artificial intelligence. AI 42 aim to provide you with the necessary know-how that can help land your dream job as long as it's related to fields of data science or machine learning. The concept is simple and involves professionals from all around the globe explaining to you the underlying mathematics, statistic, probability, calculation, data science, and machine learning techniques. We'll guide you you all you have to do is follow our channel, enjoy the content every second week, filled with real life cases and experts' experience. Don't you worry, we all started from scratch and we are happy to help you build it up from there. You can always stop and rewind the videos or ask the clarification in the comment section. We hope to assist you on this wonderful journey and have you as a speaker one day. By creating cross collaboration with other organizations, we can give the best opportunities to broaden your network in the AI and data science communities. With the combination of our offered services, we will support less fortunate people and organizations that are not that recognized yet, even though they deserve it.
So our organization is sponsored by Microsoft and Miles, and we are humbled by all the support we get from our contributors as well. Thank you, first of all, Levente Ponger, for all the beautiful graphical content, and Mina Murray for the cool intro music before our event. We are in close collaboration with C# Corner and Global AI Community, so our lectures are going to be available on their YouTube channel as well, additionally to our own media. So Nicola Thought creates and reviews all our text content we use on our website or advertisements and during our sessions. So you can go ahead, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to become a part of a growing community where we'll share knowledge and fun. You'll find every information that would bring you to an advanced level on the field of AI and data science. You can watch our recorded sessions on our YouTube channel, and you can find our upcoming sessions on our meetup page.
And as well, we have the code of conduct and all outlines explanation for participation in our community, as well as steps of reporting unacceptable behavior. We are committed to providing a welcoming and inspiring community for all. Be friendly and patient, be welcoming and be respectful with each other. So I think we can now bring back the Leila on the stage.
Good idea. Hi, welcome back, Leila.
Hello. Hello
Hello.
again.
So today we'll talk about Azure ML. Can you just give us a little sneak peek what you will talk about?
Oh, of course, sure. So I'm going to talk about Azure ML Workspace. That's kind of the newish platform and that Microsoft provide that support people from very kind of business background, so they don't know anything about AI, to people who actually been AI and machine learning space for a long time.
Oh, that's perfect. We just can't wait to just listen your session. But before we start, can you just little tell about yourself? Because you are AI MVP and you're doing a lot of great stuff. So
Oh,
we're
thank
really
you.
ready to hear all what you're doing.
Oh, thanks so much, Kasia. Yes, so actually, I've been in AI and data platform kind of area for from kind of 2015, and so yeah, so this is my interest. So I'm kind of used to be a C# developer and kind of the Windows application developer, but gradually I'm more interested to the data part. So moving to the SQL and then BI, but at the same time when I creating reports, we see that we really need to get more insight out of data. So living in a data kind of the in an environment that I kind of face with lots of data, I feel that's a good opportunity to get more insight of the data using machine learning and predictive and descriptive analytics beside all of the stuff like Power BI. So that's a start of thing. So back after 2015, I start to kind of writing books and speaking and kind of learning myself about AI. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying that journey.
Yeah, I think it's really inspiring that from developer you can be a data AI person. So it's really, really great that it's so maybe not easy transformation, but it's possible.
Yes, exactly. So that's a kind of the, just baby steps happen to me. So from a kind of developer, I'm more interested to data part, and then from data SQL part, I'm more interested to the BI and then to the AI. So it's kind of the transition from, I can say, from 2004 till now. So, but that was a really fantastic journey.
Yeah.
It sounds like that.
So should we see what you are going to show us? I just can't wait to learn more about Azure ML today.
Yeah, of course. Sure. So, hello everyone. Thanks so much for having me. AI42. That's really great to be part of this amazing kind of area. We're really looking for that for a long time. So as I mentioned, yep. So this actually I'm working in AI, Microsoft AI and data platform MVP. So that means that I work in this both area for some years. So after my session finished, so if you have any question, this is my Twitter and my LinkedIn and also my email over here. So please contact me if you have any question. More than happy to answer. So machine learning. So that's machine learning is kind of the really parts of the AI part that we have, and many companies now looking through that. So as you know that machine learning process can start from data. So we need to have a data. So if you're working with Azure Space, your data can be in a SQL database, in a Cosmos DB, to the data lake, blob storage. There can be many places, even non Microsoft tools. So that's a data there. So there's a process of getting this data, preparing the data for the process of the machine learning. There are lots of pre-processing. The simplest one was removing the null values and kind of scaling the data and the others. So there are some pre-process, not just for data quality, they are essentials, but also some preparing process for machine learning. And after that, we actually be going to learn from the data that we have to create some models out of them, and to kind of train the model based on the data that we have, and then deployment. So that's a kind of the end-to-end process. And we are not alone through doing that. So yes, previously we need to do all of this process by writing codes in R or Python. But these days there are many tools that actually help you to kind of eliminate the process that's actually you need to write code, so everything can be created kind of automatically for you. So I'm talking about the Azure ML workspace. So before I'm going to show you this very huge kind of chart, let's see that what we have over there. So I kind of love to go through the some space that we have here. So coming from the Microsoft Azure, so everyone can kind of go to the Microsoft Azure. There are some free tiers that you can use it. So about $300 in the dollar, I think, or 200 US dollar. You can actually get a kind of get an account for that and logging through that. So after you going there, there is a you can create a resource. The resource that I'm going to talk about in this session is Azure ML, actually machine learning. So it's easily you can go here and search for that one as machine learning, and you will get that one. So that's kind of you can create that one and see the different plans that we have, and kind of very easy to set it up. So it's not just a really big deal to set it up. After you set it up, you will see the environment like this. Let me zoom in so you can actually see that. So you can actually, as you can see, you set it up, the location that you want, the subscription, and also there are some kind of validation through the Microsoft Azure, which is great because it's actually you get more layer of security to access to that one. So after that, you just easily click on Launch Studio and it navigates you to the main environment of Azure ML Workspace. For people who work with Azure ML, you remember we have an environment, or you may heard about that if you just search for Azure ML Studio. That was a very traditional machine learning kind of place that we have before. So that's actually there's a traditional one, that's a drag and drop one, and was really interesting one, and it's free to use actually. But that one is actually come and combine over here. So let's see what we have in this environment. So in this environment, as you can see here, we have a ribbon here. So this is the home that we are here, and we have the area name author that is here actually, and we have the some assets. So author is actually a stand for places that we are going to develop or authoring our machine learning, and we have three way to doing that. We have notebook, that is a stand for Azure Notebook. That means so notebook we can write code that is mainly for data scientist people, so people who knows how to write R or Python, or at least they have the code to doing that. In the second step, we have automated ML that I'm going to also talk about that. This is mainly kind of clicky area. So I will go through that. What is that? You don't need to write a code, and I can say that can be used by everyone. So you don't need to kind of, you with a basic knowledge of the machine learning, still you can use it. And then we have designer that I can say something between these two. That means that you still need some knowledge about machine learning process, but you don't need to write the code. But again, you should be more kind of experiment on that, but you don't need to write the code. So we are going to see that how's they going. And of course we need some assets, we need a place to for store our data. So we have actually data store, and each data store can have some data sets. We have a place name experiment that's actually doing that. Let's have a look at the chart that I'm kind of having here. So here we have kind of we need to have some things like, for example, so Azure machine learning needs a virtual machine. So we need to set up a virtual machine to run our data over here. We have data sets, we have pipeline that I will talk about in my session in the next week, so don't worry about that. That's help us to orchestrate all of the process that we have from creating a machine learning model to deploying. So that's a one. We have we have a different kind of the deployment part and the other that I will also talk about them soon. Okay, so let's go through the first part, that is Azure ML AutoML. What is that? So in the previous example that I showed to you, so we prepare the data and deploying the model. But let's have a look at as a practical example that we are going to see how much a car can worth. So we are going to predict how much a car can worth and how we can actually do that. So this is a kind of the simple machine learning process. So first of all, we look at that what features we are going to put to predict how much a car can worth. So it can be, as you can see here, it can be a mileage of the car, the condition of the car, the actually the car brand, year of make, and regulation. Beside that, so we need also some algorithm that actually help us to train our data and kind of doing that. So there are set of algorithm, and of course each algorithm has their own parameters. So in a real world is actually when we're going through that, so we come up with some features, we find that some of the features or attribute has more impact on the car price, so we select them. That we call it feature selection. In the next step, we are going to choose the algorithm that we think is good, so we choose one algorithm with a set of parameters, so we tune that. We come up with a accuracy like 30%. So this is a kind of the manual way that we're doing for machine learning. So now we said, oh, no, 30% is not really good. So we go and try the other algorithm. So maybe with a different features, with a different algorithm, with a different set of parameters. And then so this is a manual process that most of the time we have to go. So we have to choose different algorithm with the different features, with the different parameters. You see lots of combination, and if you want to write it code for them, it takes lots of time. So because we want to find out the best accuracy through that, so we need to run it for couple of times to come up with a base number that, for example, in here is 95%. So that's a kind of the automated ML helping us. So automating ML, it has some set of algorithm behind the scene with actually helping us to try different parameters with a combination of the features, and it's kind of help us to come up with a final result. So you don't need to run, you select your algorithm yourself or set the parameter yourself, or is also help you through the feature selection. That was choosing which attribute has much kind of how much impact on the final attribute. So these are the concept of the automated ML. Let's have a look through the what is having here. So this is automated ML area. So you see the second one. I'm going to kind of show you what we have over here. It's take a bit time to run, so I just show you how to set it up, and then we are going to look at the run that I already have. So here you need to click on here. You need to kind of create a data set. You can get it from your local computer or from your data store. So that means that if you want to kind of start it and get it from specific data, you need to first set up a data store. That means you need to come here, define a new data store. This data store can become from a blob storage, data lake, Azure SQL. So it can be from different places, and kind of with your one also. Yeah, so that's a kind of the things you can set it up, and after you set it up is actually I just cancel it. I don't want to create a new one. Then you can see that one inside here. So it's actually you set up, you create a connection into the data store, you bring some data, and the data will be available in the data set. So we have two concepts, data store and data set. So data store is a kind of the container for that data will be put over here. So I'm going through the automated ML. I already bring a data set that is famous Titanic example. So for people who don't know that, that's a sample of data that we have information about people like gender, age, passenger class, and if they survive or not. So if you remember from that disaster, there are in the movies and books that they start to help people who are elderly or the first class and female, and then they start. So we are going to see if similar situation happen. So what's the chance of people to survive out? So here we are going to kind of select your data set, and then we're going to the next step. So here, now you can actually set up a new experiment. That means a new place to create. So you can, for example, you can create a new one or select the existing one. I have that one, so I click that one. Now you need to specify which kind of column you are going to predict. That in our example is survive, that is integer. And also you need to set up some compute or virtual machine. So that's another setup that we need to do. That I'm just going to show you over here. So compute or virtual machine. So we have different type of virtual machine over here. We have compute instance, compute cluster, inference cluster, and attached compute. So these two mainly use when you are going through the pipeline and actually push it to the IoT edge and the other. But these two is actually we can use it for the training and for the kind of deploying the things over there. So here is a compute instance that we need it for the kind of compute cluster that actually we need it for the training the model. So if I back over here, I compute cluster, so I choose that one, and I already created one. So just remember, when you create a compute instance, if you don't use it, just simply just stop it. So just select that one and stop it if you don't use it, because it's kind of take some money. It's same as the virtual machine. So if you come in here, for example, you create a new one, you will see that actually same as the kind of same process. That's same CPU or the other, so you can see that is actually you setting up one with a 2 core 14 gigabyte RAM and the other. So see, so similar to the one that we have. So I'm not going to create one, I already have one, and I'm going to one. So here you see that. So till this step, I didn't write any code, and I come to the select my data, and come here to select what I'm going to do. So we can classify all of them or machine learning. We can do 2 3 steps here for the use of the Azure ML. So one is classification, regression, and time series. So classification is refer to when you just predict two situation, or you want to predict a continuous, like predict the sales price, predict number of customer, and the others. So in our example, I use the actually the classification one, but you can actually choose so the other. And also based on your data is actually helping you, you can enable deep learning. So deep learning is actually using kind of take extra time, using the algorithm of neural network and the other, but can be, it depends on, I couldn't say every time it's become accurate, much more accurate than the other. It depends on your data, but in some scenario, if you have lots of variables, can be actually much more, but not always. I don't think in our scenario it can help. So I'm going to the next. So here, yep. So before I'm going to the next, let's have a look on the additional configuration over here. So here you can specify what metrics you are going to validate. So if you remember from the chart that I'm showing to you over here, just let me back here. So you remember that we come up with a best accuracy over here. So what attribute actually we said, okay, based on what attribute we said this one is best one. So there are many things for classification when you're doing. It can be accuracy, AUC under the curve metrics, based on the other. So there are many different ones like precision, recall. There are some accuracy method that you can tell which one is better. So here is actually, if I back to the data, of course, here we have some kind of the primary metrics that we have here. So if you want to know what they are exactly, so just check the documentation that we have for the one. So the simplest one is accuracy. We have under the K weighted, norm, mark, calorica. I never used, to be honest, that one. Average, precision, and precision score. So you can choose which attribute you want to doing that, and also you want to explain that one. So here is the second step. We have the list of the algorithm that we have. As I mentioned before, in the normal machine learning process, we may try different algorithm. So here for the classification, there are a list of the algorithm that will apply. So here we don't choose which one to apply. We want to see which one I don't want to apply. So that's why the name is block algorithm. So here you can choose, for example, I don't want to apply this and this and this and the other. So you select some of the one that you don't want to actually to apply, and you come up with a kind of the algorithm that can apply. So for example, in this example, only k nearest neighbor, decision tree, and random forest will be applied to my model. What else we have? So here we have you can specify the positive class label. So for example, if they survive, what's the label should be. You can specify how long these training can goes are, because for example, the training job, as you can see, can be to 6 hours. Is going to try different algorithm with the different parameters, with different hyperparameter tuning and features. So you can limit that time. So if you think that can be limited and the training will be stopped, so you can doing that. And also in the same time, how many algorithm run at the same time. So for example, in a one run it's run keying in with a specific parameter, in the second run is going to run the other one with the other parameter. So you can specify that. So you see that everything here is manual. We don't write anything over here. So just you can save that one. Also, we have the setting for featurization. So featurization means that which attribute, so I know that some of the attribute has impact on the survival people, but I'm going to see that which one has a kind of more. So it's kind of help us through doing that. So it's actually kind of help us to which feature we need to choose. So here I already selected one, so it's kind of choosing them. But you can, if you have more data over here, it's help you to enable the featurization, so you can enable that one. I don't doing that for this scenario. I'm going to the next step. So for the validation type, again, you can choose the other kind of validation type that you have. So I just put it out there here, and test the data set. I don't want to, that's a kind of the preview feature that's come. So for example, about the kind of provide the test data set or not, you want to train the data and then split the data for the test. So for now, I'm just leaving that, and I can click on the finish. So when I click on the finish, it's going to start the training, and it can take lots of time. So definitely in this session we couldn't see the result because it's become a bit, but you can see that it actually provides some information about what is the target, what is the status of the training, and still you can see the configuration setting over here. Let's have a look on one of them that I already finished, and you can see that one. So I'm back to here. So let's I'm go through the experiment, or I can go to the automated ML over here, and I'm looking one of them that is completed. So you see that is actually, I'm going to look at this one. So here, when you actually is finished, so it's been completed, you can see that actually when you click on the, let's go to the child run. So there are some different runs happen over here. So these are the different running, the kind of the iteration happen over here. You just go through the one of them, and you can see that actually for each of them, you can see the accuracy of each of them. And if I back to the other one, so for example, another child run, you can see that is kind of what. Okay, okay, is all good. So here you can see the different accuracy over here. Um, so kind of you will see that the different ones over here. So let's have a look on one of them that actually we have over here. So here, as you can see, that's actually, this is the algorithm that get the highest one, that is 80%. So you can see the other metrics related to that one, that is accuracy. So there are different measures that you can oversee over here. Also, if you go to the algorithm parameter, you can see the different kind of the sampling. I didn't set the data for test and training, so you just see the 100% over here. So here also, if you you remember, there was an explanation for the model. If you set it up, you should see some kind of charts that shows you that how's the model performance happening, or what's the data exploration should be. And sorry, just back to the explanation here. Sorry, just going here, just loading the data. So here you can see that actually the distribution of your data and the kind of the feature importance. So here you can see, for example, gender or sex of people has much more importance than passenger class, than age. So it's kind of provide you some kind of the feature selection and also model performance idea. Also, there are kind of two type of the charts that you can see over here. So there are lots of kind of the different things that happen over here, and you can see the duration of that and the rest. Let's have a look on the one that is already running. So I'm back to the automated ML, and to see that what is happening on the running one. So you see that is the start the running, so it's set up the run. So you can see the all of the steps over here, or if you want to look at that, there's a output log that actually provide information about what's the process happening over here. So you can see the kind of the what's the setup happening here, and it's going on and on. I just leave it for a while, this one, before I'm moving to the other one. So this is the setup over here. So it's actually give you a model. So after you create the best model into the automated ML, that is here, this is my best model. I can go through that and I can deploy it. Also, I can download it and use it in the other application, or if you want, you can actually use it to explain the model, that's why we use this model. And also you can test the model by providing a specific data set that you have. So that's a one. So after you deploy it, you get a, on the model parts, so here in the model section, you get a model that has been deployed. So you can actually use this model to create an endpoint. So you can kind of deploy it and get an endpoint. And for that endpoint, you get a REST API that you can use it in other application. And this is a first step. Also, that can be a pipeline through that. So that's next kind of in the next presentation, I will talk about that. Just then here is just overview of the automated ML and how it's actually work. So this is a automated ML that has been used. If you're using Power BI, you see that we have a AI inside that use this one. If you use in Power Platform, if you use AI Builder, again, in behind the scene, they use automated ML. You see that in automated ML is actually, we didn't do any coding and the other, which was really fantastic. And it just give us the final result. So I'm just back to the kind of the other one. So the next one is Azure ML Designer. So Azure ML Designer comes from the, actually is a new version of the Azure ML Studio. So Azure ML Studio exists from 2014 till now. But after a while, because they create a Azure ML workspace, they prefer to embed that one here. So same style. For people who don't know what is this, it's actually a drag and drop environment that has a flow to create a machine learning. So for example, we get our data, raw data here, and then it's connected to the next step, that is select a specific data set, and then we have another step to remove or clean missing data. Then in a normal machine learning process, we divide data set to training and testing, and we use some algorithm and the rest. So these are the kind of the flow style that we using. So let's have look how it actually works. So I'm just back, so it's still running, so I'll just leave it for that. But meanwhile, I'm going to the Azure ML Designer. So Azure ML Designer, as you can see here, we can I'm easily show you one of the things. So I'm just create a new pipeline over here. Again, running may take run, so I just set it that one. So I need to specify which one I'm going to use. So I set the kind of the compute that I'm going to run through that. Here I have different options. So I have some sample data sets that Microsoft provide for me, or again, I can have a data set, the same concept. So you can bring your data store from Azure, from data lake or the other over here, and then define the data set here. So you can just easily drag and drop the component from here to actually to the experiment area. So this is my data. I can see the inside of the data, preview of the data set over here. Just take a bit time. So here is actually just a preview, so you can see your data over here, or actually there was another one that actually you can see that one, the output of your data set. So here is actually you can see the parameter that we have, and you can see the data over here. Just back to the one. So you can see your data over here, number of the rows, number of the columns, and some other information. So in the next step, for example, you want to select column. So we said select columns. So, or you can type it there, or you can go to the data transformation tab that is here. There are 9 modules that you can doing that. So here, for example, I said select column. If I can find, the best way is to search over here. Always doing that because there are many things to cover. So I said select column in the data set. So here I can kind of connect the output from the node to the input over here. So here you can see that one, and then I can set, okay, I just want to select, edit the column, some of them by name or by rule. So here said I want to select, for example, all of them in this scenario, add all, something like this. And so you see the process coming here, and then I can set I want to remove the missing value, clean the missing data. So all of the process can happen like this. So here I believe I have something on the here. I want to set, I want to clean the data. So you see that the all of the process happening like this. So after this is a preparation of the data. In the next step, I want to split the data to here. So I just put the output from clean missing data to the split, and then I have two outputs. So one of the output, this is hard coded here. So here, that's an output over here, and for the training, and this is the output for the testing. So here I can access to some of the data for the training and testing. So let's have a look here on the model training. So you have a module for the training the model. Also you have access to some of the algorithm, machine learning algorithm over here, some of them for regression analysis, one of them just for clustering, and about 12 of them for the classification. So you can choose the algorithm here. So when I choose the for example, one of them, I said classification. When I said for example, classification over here, I have two classification and multi-classification. You can choose one of them. So this is your model. As you can see here, this is one type of decision forest one. You can specify, you can see some of the setting for the model. For example, a number of the decision, that decision tree you want, or the depth of that one, but you couldn't see the algorithm. So this is something between coding and the automated ML. And then can said I want to train model. So I'm looking for the train model, and then I just bring it over here. So I'm not going to compile that one because it's take a bit time, just showing you how it actually work. So here we said we want to train based on survive. So let's have a look on the one that I've already created to see that how it should be look like. So I think I'm go for this one. That's a different one. So you see that this automobile price prediction, we have do all of the steps. We use linear regression. We train the model. We actually run two model over here. One is algorithm forest quartile regression, and another one linear regression. So these are the actually you set it up, you specify which compute you are going to use it, and kind of check the virtual machine that you have, and you submit. So when you submit it, it's same as the other one that we have, is going to run it, and then is getting prepared for pipeline. I'm not going to talk the pipeline over here, but it's actually possible to give you a endpoint as a web service that you can use over there. So this is an example of the kind of designer. Again, is very easy to use. You don't need to write code for all of the steps, but you can see here, still you need to choose which algorithm you have to use. There are some sort of algorithm over here you can choose from them, but still, for example, you may choose to run 5 or 6 algorithm at the same time. So then you can actually compare the result to each other in the evaluation one. So that's a bit different from automated ML. You get more deep into there, but actually it's still different. So let's look at the one of them, that example of the kind of already run over here. Just some examples. So if you don't have anyone, just start with the one examples that are already available here, so you can check them to here. There's really interesting one. There are some questions over here. I will prefer to finish this part, and then I will back to the question. I can see them over here if it's okay. So I will back to question very soon. The last part that we have is notebook. So notebook is actually is an environment that you can kind of write code. So example here, for example, here. There is a simple Python code over here. In this example, I'm going to I create a workspace in automated ML. So I have an endpoint and key, and I just write bunch of Python code to call that one. So here, if I want to show to you, here, if you remember from the Azure ML one, I deploy it and I get an endpoint for Titanic model, and it gives me a endpoint over here. So I just copy. I don't have any key through that, so I just put it here. So very, very simple to use. So you can create a new file over here. You can say I want to create a notebook, Python, R, or text. So you can choose that one. So the default notebook is Python. So you can create, and if already exists, create a new one. So it's going to create a new Python code for you. So that's a one. And you can start to write the code. So similar to what we have here. So you can actually had a code or as a markdown over here. So you can say, for example, I just bring the code over here. Don't want to take time to write the code. So here I can come here and start to run. So if I click on that, it's going to run it on my computer instance. And the next step, for example, I want to add some note that this is the set variable section, and then just done. So in the next step, I'm going to add a code. So you can combine the same as the notebook that you have. You can write your code over here and run the example. So in this example, I use the same automated ML that we have to get the key. I have the array, that's a sample of the data set over here by Python code, and then just kind of convert the array to the JSON format, some things to see the results. So here is actually I use that one to see that if I have a passenger class 1 and female with the age of 78 is going to survive or not. So that's actually, I can change it to be male to see that was a difference, for example. And if I run it again, so it actually tells me that is not going to survive. So these are the kind of the Python environment that we have here. I love to, if you go to the, when you set up your Azure ML, there are some samples tab over here that there are lots of example of the machine learning. You can go through that. We have about the manage Azure ML services, reinforced learning, responsible AI, and also training and testing. Let me show you some sample over here. So for example, let me choose one of them. Yep, that one. So these are the example of the using automated ML. So automated ML is not just a click. There are some kind of command, there are some library in Python that actually simulate the automated ML. So you can see here the process of the automated ML, how to set up the workspace, the resource group, experiment. You can set it up by code over here. You can specify which virtual machine you are going to use, get the data over here, and you remember we set up some setting for automated ML here. You can write them by code. So if you are a Python code and you don't want to use that kind of the visual environment for automated ML, still you can use that library here. The library name is actually that's a library one, so Azure ML core. So that's a Azure ML one, so you need to import that one. So Azure ML.core, Azure ML core experiments, and train and automate. So Azure ML actually is a one library in Python that you can actually do all of the steps that you see in automated ML over here. And I think it's really kind of exciting. So you, without going to that environment, you can bring it here, or you can use your own data, or your own algorithm. So here is you not kind of no one is going to force you to doing that. So use actually is a place that you can write your own code and then test it, and at the kind of deploy it through that. So there are some examples that you can doing that. So that's a overview of the environment that we have. In the future, in the next session, I'm going a bit more deep through the how we can actually do the process of creating the model, then deploy it, and using the pipeline going to deploy it in Microsoft Edge over through that. So this is a kind of the process. So in the next session, you see that actually after creating experiment, how we can train and test, register the model. So I will talk about the rest in next 2 weeks. So here you just see an overview of that. But in the next step, we are going to the end-to-end process till deployment. I already shared some of the links to learn about one. Of course, it's continuously they update the framework, so it's not limited to this link. I mean that these are the articles I wrote about them. There are many different ones. They in kind of I can say day by day they improve this environment, and new feature added. I can say it's really hard to keep updated about them. But if you're interested, I think I already share this one with the team, AI42 team, so they can share it with you. So let's see, there are some questions. I can see some interesting questions in the chat. There is a question about when you recommend choose Azure ML our custom data science project Python. Actually, is it the first one question? Can I go for that one? Or I think, oh yeah, okay, so let me first that one. So it totally depends, from my experiment. Sometimes using so most of the pre-build stuff, let's see, go the higher pre-build stuff, like pre-build pre-trained algorithm, pre-built AI tools like in the cognitive services for image tagging and the other. If you're using the general data sets, your data set is so general and it actually doesn't have that much complexity, you can still use it. But it depends. Sometimes you use these pre-built tools and you don't get that much good accuracy because your data is a bit different, and also you need to do some data preparation. So if it's a general use, instead of putting lots of time on coding, I prefer first to test it over here to see that how much accuracy you can get. If it's not good and you think that it doesn't help you through that to improve their things, then go through that one. But to be honest, the number of the algorithm here is limited. If you want to try different algorithms than here, so yes, you need to doing that. There is another one is what is the limitation of the tools? What are use case when this tools is not powerful enough? I think the notebook one is good because you can bring your own code, and that's, I can say there is no limitation for Azure Notebook over here. There's maybe some kind of limitation through the let's me back to the code here. Sorry. There may be some limitation over the Azure ML Designer because the number of the algorithm is limited over there. I can see one of them here. Another one is actually I just stopped the compute, so don't cost me. Another one is the limitation about the accuracy and improvement here. So here, if I'm go to the designer, there are some things that I can set, okay, I want to improve it. So for example, I can see the feature selection component, but they are not complete. Maybe you need more steps. So I can set, you have some limitation in Azure ML Designer and later in automated ML, but in the notebook, you don't have any limitation. And there is another questions over here. Okay, cool. Yep. Yes, please, Eva. Please go ahead. Kashia.
Wow, thank you, Leila. You just went into the middle and started to answer all the questions. So we have some questions from the other part of the audience as well. So let us bring that up
Oh,
as
thank
well.
you.
So Gabriel has some questions. For example, this. So can you train a machine learning model in your local computer and later deploy to Azure?
Actually, not here, but if you're using the C sharp, actually, there's a kind of the library in the C sharp that you can doing that over here. But for now, we don't have that one, so it's not on premises. Again, that one, if you run the ML in your .NET in your local computer, still it's connected to the Azure environment. For now, as I'm concerned, we don't have. We used to have an Azure ML workbench before, but nowadays is more on the cloud.
Yes, but you can still put in your own models and whatever in the pipeline.
Yes,
But
yes.
that's yeah.
Yeah, that processes can be. So in the next session, I will show you that actually when you create that, your model is created, then you don't have any limitation to be on the cloud. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question, Gosha.
Um, So, okay, good question. So we have a compute instance and compute cluster. So, compute cluster is when you're going to training the data for the training part, and compute instance when you're actually going to run it and kind of getting the output for the run. So this is the virtual machine for run the machine, the train the model, and compute instance is when you're actually going to run it and in the notebook you're going to use it. So it's a bit totally different. So this is more training. This is for kind of the instance getting the result from the code that you write, like the one that I show you into the notebook.
We have also the last question. So, can you use automated Azure ML also for big data?
Yes, you can actually use that one, but to be honest, I never tried, so I don't couldn't see what's the pros and cons of using that one. But because this is use the Azure environment, so it's get data from resources, so it's so powerful through that. But to be honest, personally, I never try it on the big data with a high volume and high dimension things. I didn't try it, but I believe so. It should be okay, but about the pros and cons, I'm not sure that much.
Thank you, Leila. Do we have more questions?
If you have more questions, we'll have in next 2 weeks also the session with Leila. So feel free to write them, and Leila will happy to answer, I believe.
Of course, yeah, that's the thing. So also in the meantime, this is my email and Twitter, so you can actually back to me. Also, Gashi and Eve and Hakan, they are really great AI MVPs, so you also more than welcome to ask them. 'Cause definitely, they have more insight out of me.
You never know.
Thank
But thank
you.
you a lot, Laila. It was really cool to look into this tool. To be very honest, I am really fond of this Azure ML. This is also one of my favorite tools for performing AI and data pipeline solutions. So, oh, we have yeah. So the links that you showed us, Leila, we will share that. I think we will maybe share it on our team, on our Twitter and these places. So it's not getting lost
Yeah.
in the chat of YouTube. So
Oh, that's great.
yes,
Thank you. Thanks so
and
much.
we
It's
thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Yeah, so how we mentioned, we will see Leila next event. So it's on the 15th of December, where she will talk about Azure ML orchestration and deployment. So we can't wait to see the next part of the session.
Yes, thank you. Same. I'm looking forward to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much for having me, and I wish a good evening for everyone in Europe and other part of countries, other countries. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you,
So
Lila. And go ahead, Gosha, sorry.
yeah, so we also have a call for speakers for next season. So if you would like to join us and be one of the speaker like Leila today, you can go and for the page. We'll share this on the link with you, so you can submit your session if you have something to talk about AI or data science. And thank you for all of us. So for me, Eve, and Hakan, that create this event and go with all great speakers that we had in all the time. So thank you
Yes.
everyone for joining us. Have a nice evening and see you next time.
Can't wait. See you.
You know.